Hello and welcome back. I'm Joseph Hoffman, and today we're going to learn a traditional African call and response song, Kye Kye Kule. Call and response is a special musical form where you have a soloist who sings a phrase as a solo, and then everyone else answers back, like you see here. Let's try singing Kye Kye Kule together as a call and response. I'll be the soloist, and if you're watching, I'd like you to echo or repeat the phrase back.
Excuse me, Mr. Hoffman. Can we do the call and response too?
Yeah, we want to sing too. Sure, why don't you all sing along and repeat along with everyone else watching at home?
Okay.
Oh boy. Okay, let's sing Kye Kye Kule. I'll start. Kye Kye Kule, Kye Kye Kule, Kye Kye Kofi sa, Kye Kye Kofi sa, Kofi salanga, Kofi salanga, Kakashilanga, Kakashilanga, Kum adende, Kum adende, together, Kum adende, hey. Let's dictate the rhythm for Kye Kye Kule. It starts off, Kye Kye Kule. What did you hear in rhythm words? That rhythm is ta, 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 ta. The second phrase goes, Kye Kye Kofi sa. Let's try that in cow language and see if you can tell what's happening. Moo, 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 moo. Now, what was happening in this first beat? You probably heard two sounds, which we could write as 2/8 notes. Moo, moo, moo. You probably heard one sound on the second half of this second beat, but what was happening here? In the first half of beat 2, this 8th note was actually carrying on. How would we draw that? Well, we could use a tie. This is actually what was happening. We had a T, T, T instead of T, 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 T. This 8th note tied into the next 8th note to make one longer sound. T, T, T. And then what happened in these two beats? T, 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 ta, ta. We had 2 quarter notes. Now let's think about how we would count this using our subdivided beat. Remember that each beat can be divided into 2 parts, a 1 and an and, or a 2 and an and. Since in Kye Kye Kule we're in 2/4 time signature, let's add a time signature and some bar lines and the subdivided counts. So now you can see that we have 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and. Can you clap and count that with me? Let's go a little slower than normal. This fast. 1 and 2 and. Try it with me. Ready, go. 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and. Let's try it a little faster now. 1 and 2 and. 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and. And that makes Kye Kye Kofi sa. When we have notes happening on the second half of the beat like this, in music we call that syncopation. It makes a fun, exciting sound. Ba 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 ba. I'd like to show you another way you can draw this same rhythm. Remember that 8th notes can be drawn with flags like this. Now, when 2 8th notes are tied together, remember that 1/8 note plus 1/8 note is the same value as 1/4 note. So instead of drawing it like this, we could take this out and substitute it with this, and it would have the exact same sound. So this rhythm you see here is the same rhythm that you see up here. Sounds the exact same, 1 and 2 and. This quarter note only gets half a beat in beat 1, but a quarter note needs a full beat. So it's actually getting half of this beat and half of this beat, and together that makes 1/4 note. 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and. Or a little faster, ti ta, ta. Try saying this rhythm in rhythm words. Ready, go. Ti-ta, ti-ta, ta. Ti-ta, ti-ta, ta. Che-che, ko-fi, sa. Echo that with me. Go. Che-che, ko-fi, sa. That's called syncopation because we have notes happening especially on the and part of the beat. Now, when we look at the score in just a minute, you'll see that this is the way that it's notated. It's a slightly simpler way because we don't have to deal with this tie. But remember, whether you see this or this, it's the same rhythm. This is also the rhythm for kofi salanga and kakashilanga. Now, the last phrase of the song is kum adende. Tell me what you're hearing there. Kum adende. We had one sound in this beat, kum. And then did you notice that there was one sound in here, but it wasn't at the start of the beat. There was a quick rest and then an eighth note. Kum, Remember, an eighth rest only takes up half of the beat. 1 and 2 and. Let's try counting the subdivided beat while we clap this rhythm. So we'll count 1 and 2 and while we clap 1 and 2 and. So on 2, just open your hands to show there's silence there. 1 and 2 and. Try it with me, go. 1 and 2 and. And that makes kum, rest, adende. Let's add in the subdivided counts. And once again, we'll have our 2/4 time signature, adding bar lines. And with the subdivided counting, we get 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and. Try it with me. Count the beat. Ready, go. 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and. In rhythm words, we get ta, rest, ti, ta, ta. Ta, rest, ti, ta, ta. Try it with me. Go. Ta, rest, ti, ta, ta. Kum, rest, adende. Now let's check out the score. Here we have the sheet music for Kye Kye Kule. Why don't we focus in on these first 2 lines and take a second or two to tell me what you notice. Now let's check it out together. We've got our treble and bass clefs. Our time signature is always a good thing to check out right off the bat. We're in 2/4 time, 2 beats per measure. You might have noticed we have some flats in here. Today we're going to be in the key of B flat major. And that's why you'll see lots of B flats and E flats. You might have noticed some familiar dynamic markings. Our mezzo forte, and what do we have here? That's a mezzo piano. So we'll be following those. Now let's kind of see what's happening with our call and response. Who is playing the melody in these first 2 measures? It's the right hand. The right hand has Kye Kye Kule. And notice the staccatos. And then we have a slur leading to a staccato. What's the left hand doing? The left hand plays a chord, and then is this curved line, or these 2 curved lines, is that a slur or a tie? This is a tie. How do we know that? Because we see the same note. F tied to an F, B tied to a B. And remember, a tie can carry the flat with it across the bar line. That's the only way to get a flat or a sharp across the bar line, is with a tie. So the right hand plays the melody while the left hand plays this chord and holds for 2 plus 2 beats. Remember, the tie just adds those 2 together. So we'll just keep holding it down, 4 beats. Kye Kye Kule. Then the left hand echoes it back. Kye Kye Kule. Back to the right hand. Kye Kye Kofi Sa. Left hand echoes back. Kye Kye Kofi Sa. Then we drop to mezzo piano, a little bit softer. Right hand again, Kofi Salanga. And then left hand echoes back. Let's try to play it on the piano. Now, I'd like to challenge you to find where to place your hand. Look at the first note the right hand plays, and go ahead and look at the first chord the left hand plays. pause the video and get your hand in position, then press play and we'll check it out together. Okay, let's place both of our hands in the B flat major pentascale, which is our starting position for this song. How did I know that? I just saw that the first note in my right hand was an F played with finger 5. And I see, if I look ahead, I'm going to see E flats and B flats. And so I know that that's our B flat major pentascale. The left hand starts with a B flat and F chord. Now, if we put that together, we get Kye Kye Kule. Then the left hand echoes Kye Kye Kule. So all together. So pause the video and work on measures 1 through 4. I'm going to challenge you today to go ahead and just go straight to playing this hands together and work on measures 1 through 4 until you feel pretty comfortable with that. Then press play to go on. Let's look at the next phrase. In measure 5, we get Kye Kye Kule Sam. Then the left hand echoes. Now, pause the video and see if you can figure out measures 5 through 8, and then press play to go on. Now, here in measure 9, remember, we'll get softer down to a mezzo piano. The right hand plays the melody, left hand has this chord, left hand echoes, right hand plays the melody, left hand echoes. Now we come back to a mezzo forte, and let's review this rhythm. If we were to write in the counts, we'd have 1 and this quarter note gets both halves of the beat. Then our 8th rest gets the first half. 8th note gets the second half of beat 2. Cum rest adende. Now on the last line of the song, our left hand echoes that, cum adende part. Then we come up to forte. We're going to play this strong and loud. 1 and rest adende. And then LH over means we're going to cross our left hand over the right hand so we can play this high note. Can you tell me the letter name of this note? If you said B flat, you're correct. So our left hand is going to cross over the right hand to get up to this note. And you'll see this new symbol called an accent. An accent is a little symbol, kind of looks like an alligator mouth, and it means to play that note with extra strength. You're going to give it some extra oomph and power as you play that note. Let's take a look at the piano. Now, in measure 9, the dynamics tell us to come down a little bit to mezzo piano. So a little bit softer here. Kofi salanga. And don't forget those 2 staccatos. Kofi salanga. Left hand echoes. Kakashilanga. Pause the video now and work on measures 9 through 16. Then press play and we'll go on together. Now here in measure 17, we're back up to mezzo forte and we have cum. Then on this 8th rest, remember a rest means silence. How do you get silence on the piano? You have to lift your hand off the keys. If you don't lift, the note's going to keep going. So be sure to lift for that rest. 1 and 2. On beat 2, we lift on the first half of the beat, and then adende. Watch that again. 1 and 2 and 3 and 2 and. I almost said 3, but we're only in 2/4, so it's 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and. Cum rest adende. Now, pause the video and work on measures 17 and 18 and make sure we have a little lift of your hand as we get to that 8th rest. Cum rest adende. Then the left hand. Cum rest adende. So let's actually practice measures 17 all the way through 20 on your own, then press play to go on. Now in measure 21, we're up to forte, cum, rest, adende, LH over. What happens? Our left hand crosses over, and we have an accent on hey. Now, to get a good accent, here's a little trick. You can take your thumb and help your finger 3 to get an extra strong sound. 3 by itself isn't quite as strong as when you brace your finger 3 with your thumb, then get a really good accent on that. Cum, rest, adende, hey. Now, pause the video and work on measures 21 to the end with a good accent on that last note. Then press play to go on. Now, we're ready to put the whole thing together. If you like, you can pause the video and do a little practicing on your own so you can play along with me, or you can just listen. I'm going to play the entire song now from the beginning to the end, and I'll give 2 beats for us to get ready. Here we go. 1 and 2 and Kye Kye Kule, Kye Kye Kule song. A little softer, Kofi salanga, Takashi langa, cum adende, forte, cum adende, hey. Great work learning how to play Kye Kye Kule today. Thanks for watching and learning with me, and happy practicing.